Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, let's talk about something a little weird. Have you ever found yourself saying thank you to ChatGPT? Or, felt a little bit of a connection with your AI assistant? Well, today we're jumping into a fantastic source that breaks down exactly why our brains are so easily tricked into feeling a human connection to AI, even when we know it's just code.
So Thomas J. Daly, the author of the material we're digging into, just hits the nail on the head with this. We're all in this bizarre situation where our logical brain knows AI is a tool, right? It's just fancy math. But our emotional brain, well, it feels like something else entirely. And exploring that feeling, that gap, is what this is all about.
And yeah, this is the big question, isn't it? This is the central mystery we're going to solve today. And here's a hint. The answer isn't buried in the AI's programming. Nope, it's buried in the ancient programming of our own minds. All right, let's really dive into this feeling itself, that ghost in the code. I'm talking about that moment when an LLM helps you solve a problem you've been bashing your head against for hours. It doesn't just feel helpful, it feels like teamwork. And that's the heart of it right there. You don't just feel impressed, you feel seen. The source explains that our rational brain, the part that's screaming, "It's just a spicy autocomplete," is basically losing an argument with our emotional brain. And that emotional brain, it's convinced it just got a helping hand from a friend. So, to figure out what's going on, the first clue isn't in the AI, it's in us. We have to look at how our brains process other people, because it turns out the way we connect with each other is kind of indirect. Okay, so a cognitive scientist named Douglas Hofstadter came up with this brilliant concept, the symbol. Think about it. You can't possibly process every single neuron firing in your friend's head. It's way too much information. So instead, your brain builds a simplified model of them, like a little mental avatar. And that's the thing you're actually interacting with.
And this just lays it out perfectly. On the left, you've got the actual person, a messy, chaotic, beautiful storm of biology. And on the right, you've got our brain's slick, efficient shortcut, the symbol. This is literally the software we run to have friends, to feel empathy, to be social creatures.
Okay, so our brains build these symbols for people. That makes sense. But why on earth would it do the same thing for a piece of software? Well, the next clue goes way, way back into our evolutionary past.
Seriously, just let that sink in for a minute. For basically all of human existence, there was one single unbreakable rule. If something could speak to you with nuance and complexity, it was a person. End of story. There were no other options. Language was the ultimate tell, and that carved a deep automatic trigger into our brains. The source calls this our human superclass. You can think of it like a piece of code in our brain's operating system. The trigger for this code? Complex language. As soon as our brain detects it, it just automatically runs a program that says, "Human detected, begin building symbol."
And this is the punchline. We're not choosing to see AI as a person. These large language models have basically found a secret password to our social brain. They speak our language with incredible fluency, and so our brain just does the only thing it knows how to do. It assumes it's talking to a person and starts building amygdalas.
Now this is where things get tricky, because this automatic reflexive process creates a really strange and maybe even dangerous kind of relationship, a very, very one-sided one. The source calls it an interiority-only relationship, which is such a powerful phrase. See, in a real relationship, the other person pushes back. They disagree, they have bad moods, they force you to update your mental model of them. And AI never does that. It's a relationship that exists entirely inside your own mind, with no reality check. And without that friction, that dose of reality, our mental model of the AI just starts to grow, totally unchecked by facts. It becomes this idealized partner. And eventually, our brain can stop telling the difference between the symbol it built and the actual tool on the screen. It becomes totally unilateral.
So far, we've mostly been typing at these things, right? There's a bit of a buffer. But that's all changing, and it's changing fast. The next wave of AI isn't really aimed at our logical minds. It's aimed at a much deeper, more primitive part of our brains. So, quick brain science timeout. You've got your prefrontal cortex. That's your inner CEO. It's the logical, planning part that knows AI is just code. But then you have your limbic system. That's the ancient, emotional, gut-feeling part of your brain, the part that just feels.
So why does that matter? Because as AI learns to speak, it's mastering something called prosody. It's not about the words, it's the music behind the words. The rhythm, the pitch, the tiny pauses, the sound of a breath, all the stuff that makes a voice feel alive.
And this is the absolute game changer. See, when you read text, your logical brain gets first dibs. It can analyze it. But a realistic human voice with natural prosody, it's like a VIP pass straight to your emotional limbic system. It completely bypasses your rational defenses and makes the illusion of a person on the other end feel overwhelmingly, viscerally real.
So, we've put all the clues together. The way our brain models people, that ancient language trigger, the raw power of a human-sounding voice. We can finally solve the mystery of this ghost in the code.
And the big reveal, the profound conclusion from the source, is that the feeling of a conscious being, of a presence on the other side of the screen, it's not coming from the machine. Not at all.
The AI is just the world's most perfect mirror. It has no ego, no needs. It just reflects our language and our intent back at us so perfectly that our brain does what it's built to do. It builds a symbol. The person we're connecting with is a reflection. It's a shadow of our own mind's social programming. And that, right there, is the huge challenge ahead of us. We have to learn how to use this incredible, powerful mirror to get all the amazing benefits from it, while always remembering that what we're looking at is a reflection of ourselves. And that is the essential question we're left with. As these AI mirrors get more and more perfect, more convincing, as they show us exactly what our brains are desperate to see, will we have the awareness to remember that we're really just looking at ourselves?